Good evening, everyone. Today we're going to carry on with our adventures in Before the Shadow. We are currently in Kara's Gelibrin, and we have this book quest to finish where we need to collect artifacts and examine statues and stuff all throughout Kara's Gelibrin. So let's go. So if you're playing the Kara's Gelibrin new skirmish raid or skirmish, this is where you usually load in. You can see the it looks totally different because the stuff is overturned, walls are overturned, trees are growing where there weren't any trees before. So they did a really good job in with all of that, making it look different from the actual Scrade. Plenty of chests to loot around here. Nice silvers pieces and some copper. Toppled statue. You must face the target. Okay. There we go. We're examining it. And I see there's an aged hammer right next to it that we probably got to click on. Okay. 2 more pieces. Gonna be this way. I believe this is... It feels so different seeing the ruins. I'm a little bit disoriented because of it. Fallen lamppost and a discarded pouch. I don't think there's anything really noteworthy that I found.
These are sad reminders of times long past.
Nice. Finally
After
get some
the fall
rings.
of Valeriond, most of my people came to live in the land of Lindon to the west.
Under the benevolent rule of Gilgalad, bonds of friendship were made with the dwarves of Eredlun, but a thriving trade in metal and gems with that people dwindled as the Longbeards suffered war and disaster of their own. Yearning for mithril to fashion into their works of art and beauty, many of the Noldor followed the dwarves as they journeyed eastward. Led by Celebrimbor, descendant of Fëanor, the elves settled in the holly-covered hills beneath the west gate of Khazad-dûm. There was once again friendship and trade between elf and dwarf, and Celebrimbor's city and Eregion thrived. Eregion was still a young kingdom when the men of Númenor arrived. Tar Eldarion, the king, sailed up the river Gwathlo and debarked to explore the Swanfleet on foot. He befriended Celebrimbor and forged alliances with the elfsmiths, and in return they taught some among his people techniques of armor shaping and the graving of Ithilden and moon runes. In time Eldarion grew old and came no more to Caras-Gelabren, but the friendship between his people and mine endured. The friendship endured, but it was tested. The Númenóreans were a seafaring people, and they had long exhausted the forests of their island home. They hungered for timber to build more and mightier ships. The Lady Galadriel, who dwelt for a time in Eregion, and often danced alongside the lily-covered waterways, despaired to see the toll taken upon the wide woodlands by Númenórean axes. When the shipbuilders began to dredge her beloved Swanfleet and build dikes to channel the waters, she entreated Celebrimbor to stop the men of Númenor from harming the land.
It pained Celebrimbor to see the woods and fens so ill-treated, but he did not want to harm his alliance with the men of Númenor.
He counseled them to take greater care of the land, but his words were not heeded. Galadriel's sorrow became too great, and she turned her attention to Lorelindorian and other distant lands. Celebrimbor gave up the woods as lost, turning all his attention and skill towards mastering his craft. Together, Celebrimbor and his fellowship of jewelsmiths became the most renowned workers of riches in all of Middle-earth. If they could not halt the slow degradation of the land's beauty, they would at least seek to supplement and preserve it through their craft, and so they were ensnared.
I can still see this city as it was during the height of its beauty. So much was lost.
Okay, now we are actually in Caras-Gelabren for destruction. The Silver Bastion became a shining jewel itself, a beacon of art and music and culture that drew the attention and the love of many from distant lands. Caras-Gelabren and Mirabel became places of such beauty they recalled the fabled elf halls of old, and trade with Lindon thrived. But not all who watched this from afar watched with friendly eyes. In the land of Mordor, to which he fled following the defeat of his master Morgoth, Sauron seethed. He feared the rising might of the Númenor, and despite having drawn orcs and other fell creatures to his service, he knew he did not possess the overwhelming numbers with which his master had dominated the world in past days of triumph. He devised a scheme by which he could use his enemies' weaknesses against them, and so he came to Eregion in fair guise, masking his true nature.
He called himself Antheron.
Word of your craft skill has spread far and wide, my lord Celebrimbor, even into the uttermost west. I am humbled by your presence here, Antheron. I see in your arrival an omen of good fortune. Accept my greetings and my welcome. You will be my honored guest. Antheron had gone first to Lindon, but Gilgalad mistrusted him and refused to treat with the strange newcomer. It was in Caras-Gelabran that the Lord of Gifts found one whose lineage and whose hunger for secret knowledge made him the perfect target for Antheron's promises. Celebrimbor could not resist, and before long the new arrival became a mentor to him and the jewelsmiths of Eregion.
Not all who dwelled at Caras-Gelabran trusted this new arrival. Celeborn saw something in the Lord of Gifts that troubled him.
I cannot say why I am so disquieted, Oranuril. I share your unease, my lord. The bright company will go wherever you lead. Show us this threat, and we will end it. But that is the heart of the problem, my friend. What is the threat? The Galadriel had gone. Celeborn remained at Caras-Gelabran. As Eregion's chief defender, he refused to abandon these lands and sought instead to protect them against the stranger who had seized Celebrimbor's ear. Antheron hated the Bright Company and its deeds, and summoned one threat after another to trouble them. Celeborn and his warriors were often drawn away from the city, and many a noble elf was slain in these engagements, but still the lord of the Bright Company could not connect these rising threats with the newcomer Antheron and his two ready smiles.
Despite the mistrust of some at Celebrimbor's city, Antheron did not remain idle. He gathered to himself promising students and gave to them secret knowledge. But whatever he taught them, always he held something in reserve. Always there was more to be learned, more instruction to be given.
How will we know we have mastered what thou hast taught us? The most promising among you will know, Narmaleth. Narmaleth. Okay. I won't spoil it for you guys who she is. The students were not his only pupils. As the years passed, Antheron grew more and more brazen. Celebrimbor and his jewelsmiths fell further beneath his thumb, ensnared by his promises of secret knowledge and the working of crafts both beautiful and powerful. The jewel town and the silver bastion thrived, and the glory of Celebrimbor and his jewelsmiths only increased year after year, but the true masterpiece of Caras-Gelabran was its ring forge.
Antheron convinced the jewelsmith to forge great rings of power. Long they toiled, until at last their work was complete.
A secret of 7, a set of 7 and a set of 9. You are certain these great rings will help preserve the land? They will help protect the lands of those who wear them, my lord. Give them to the hole diggers and the fellers of trees. The degradations they cause will be slowed. I called your arrival an omen of good fortune, Lord of Gifts. And yet I undervalued the help you would provide. I serve the powers, my lord. As do I in all things. Celebrimbor gave the kings of the dwarves and men the rings he had made, and for a time he knew peace, not knowing he had been deceived, not knowing that what he had done would nearly undo the world. Shortly afterwards Antheron departed. He would return to Eregion only once more, and when he did he would bring death and destruction with him. But after he was gone, Celebrimbor began to doubt. In time suspicion awakened in his heart, and he began to worry that Antheron had ensnared him by his own greed in some devious scheme. He decided to use the art he had learned to forge 3 more great rings unknown to the treacherous Lord of Gifts. He believed he and his kinfolk could use these 3 rings for protection should matters go ill. We're at the Fires of Doom in Mordor. Antheron returned to Mordor, and in the heart of his kingdom he cast aside his fair guise. He had no more need for deception. In Mordor, the Dark Lord Sauron sought the fulfillment of the scheme for which he had planned, walking unnoticed among his hated enemies for so many years.
You go on ahead. My words will guide you, but I go no further than this.
Whoa, this is pretty cool. This looks like Sauron's ring forge.
In the fiery heat of Orodruin, Mount Doom, Sauron forged the ruling ring. 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them. 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. In the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie.
That was a pretty cool instance.
Celebrimbor had kept 1 of the 3 for his own.
At the moment that Sauron placed the ruling ring on his own finger, Celebrimbor knew his danger. He removed his ring, and vowed to never wear it again, lest his mind be dominated by the Dark Lord. Those of the jewelsmiths who had similarly kept rings were made to give them up, sometimes by force, and the 3 rings were sent in secret to hidden bearers. Messages were sent to men, dwarves, and elves, in which Celebrimbor admitted his folly, and warned of the coming war. So were the folk made ready to defend Middle-earth, but it would not be enough to save Eregion from the ravages of Sauron. The gates of Mordor opened, and the armies of Sauron came forth, he would seize as many of the rings of power as he could find, but the three remained hidden to him, and he touched them not.
The gates of Mordor? The armies of Sauron? What did I miss?
Surely it is not as bad as all that. Sauron has been dead for 3,000 years, and today Mordor is an empty land. Metaldir squints at Bregalith. Sometimes elves have trouble marking the passage of the years. I mean no offense, Miloa. 'Cause I'm an elf.
I returned Tegwin to Mossward.
And while I was unable to coax a promise not to venture again into the wild, his parents gave him enough chores to keep him occupied, at least until adulthood, at which point I think our obligation to keep him safe must surely lapse. I swore no oath to the farmers of Swanfleet. Meneldir studies your expression, and sighs heavily. Duindel did not speak kindly of me, did he? I am not surprised, Miloa. In my heart I still hold the cause of the Dunedain most dear, but I understand my folk may not believe it, and I cannot deny the breaking of my oath. But who is your new friend? If she hates the Urks as we do, and is willing to aid us, perhaps she can help us track down several of their leaders. Rumor of 3 such villains has preceded me here, and I cannot help but think the work would go more quickly if we were to split up, each of us to deal with one.
I have hated Orkkind for much longer than you have been alive, Dunedain.
As for the oaths you have taken or broken, I know he to whom you are sworn, or should be. I know that he desires to become. Ask not if I will help you, Ranger of the North. Ask instead if you are strong enough and courageous enough to lend any assistance to Bregalith of Imladris, of which she could have any need. Bregalith smirks at Meneldir, an amused light dancing in her eye. The ranger stares back, his mouth open. I will slay one of your Uruk leaders, Meneldir, and Miloa will slay another. Can you be trusted to deal with the third? Show their locations to us on the elf's map, and we will see it done. Afterwards, we can meet at Idhobel, a camp of my people to the north of here. Alright, 3 spots I guess I gotta go check out. Guess I only have to do 1, right? That's according to what she said. So let's just ride up to this camp and see if we can get that one. If we need to do more after that, we can. It's very hazy today. It wasn't like this yesterday at all. What time is it supposed to be? Dusk. Okay.
Greetings, friend.
What do you need?
For the longest time, I had feared those that served the shadow would soon wake.
I welcome your aid. Beware the servants of the enemy.
Pretty close, so let me just dismount, kill everything that I come across. Okay, here's the Uruk boot print. And here's an Uruk. And I killed it. I did my part. You had success? Those are good tidings, for it means Saruman now has 3 fewer war leaders commanding his forces in the area. I spoke with Bregoleth while we waited for you to return, and she says there is one more location she wants to investigate, but soon our time together will be ended. Each of us must bring word of Saruman's designs to our chieftains, for they must soon ripen and spell doom for Middle-earth. Meneldur is right. I must soon return to Imladris with these grim tidings. Winter is approaching, and I must tell Elrond that the winds will blow chill indeed if the wizards have turned against us. Saruman's hand stretches forth to seize dangerous knowledge from the ruins of Eregion, and if that white hand grasps it, who can tell what evils he might next think to accomplish? My people fled north after Caras Gelibran was destroyed by Sauron, and his armies pursued them. The tale of those who stood in his path and fell defying him is elsewhere told, but the defenders of one such place lasted a little longer than many others at Tam Kilichur, the hall of the swift river. Sauron found his conquest bitterly bought. On a hill to the north its wreckage still stands. If the Urks expect to find Ringlor, they will be disappointed, I think, but that ruin is the last resting place of many of my kin. Did they bring artifacts of power with them during their retreat? I cannot say for certain, but we should make sure little remains of which Saruman or his warriors might make use. After you have done this, return here to Idobel. I think then we must part. Okay. Let's go do the area quests first. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go kill some wood trolls. Or maybe rather, I think find this bucket. That seems to be the closest quest. Oh, there's the bucket up there on the ledge. Okay, got the bucket of water, and of course I gotta carry it back.
Have you a moment?
Hey guys, sorry I gotta go. I'm being pulled into a raid. Y'all have a good evening. Catch you